but also for their rescuers, isn't over yet.
No, it isn't, and we'll be following events there in Christchurch. Andrew Thomas, thank you. Now, southern Peru has been hit by flooding triggered by heavy rains in the region. Several homes have been damaged and the train line to the historic Machu Picchu ruins have been suspended due to floodwaters. Areas around the ruins have had up to 20 days of rain, flooding, with several tourists still stranded. The US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton has condemned the killing of 4 Americans by pirates off the coast of Somalia. US forces say they were in negotiations with the pirates when suddenly a rocket-propelled grenade was fired at them. 2 pirates were killed and 15 taken into custody as US forces battled to get on board the private yacht. They say the kidnapped Americans were already dead when they boarded the vessel. An Indian court has convicted 31 people on conspiracy and murder charges following the deaths of 60 Hindu pilgrims on a train in 2002. Security forces were on a heightened state of alert to prevent further unrest as a result of the verdict. 63 others were acquitted. The fire on the train led to violent anti-Muslim riots in Gujarat. The public prosecutor says the fire was a well-planned conspiracy. At least 2 pro-democracy protesters have been killed in Yemen and 20 more injured. The attack happened in the capital, Sana'a. It's believed a gang of pro-government supporters opened fire at the demonstrators. Scuffles had broken out earlier in the day as protesters were seen rolling a car over and setting it alight. Algeria's cabinet has decided to lift a state of emergency, which has been in place for nearly 2 decades. Opposition groups have been staging weekly protests in the Algerian capital, Algiers, seeking to emulate uprisings in Egypt and neighbouring Tunisia. The government hopes its move will appease demonstrators. It's also approved a package of measures aimed at reducing unemployment, which is one of the people's biggest complaints. And you're watching Al Jazeera. Just a recap of the latest developments coming out of Libya. He says, "I will die as a martyr and fight to the last drop of blood." Those are the words of the Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi, and words that protesters did not want to hear. In a speech that lasted 75 minutes, he told the nation that he wasn't going anywhere. This as foreigners are still being evacuated from the country. Turkey has sent 2 rescue ships, and the Netherlands and Italy also amongst countries trying to get their nationals out. The United Nations Security Council has met to discuss the crisis and condemn the violence. The Arab League also met in Cairo. The United Nations Human Rights Chief has called for an inquiry into the attacks on protesters, saying they could amount to crimes against humanity. And Libyan state television has been showing pictures of crowds of Gaddafi supporters on the streets of the capital. Well, let's find out what social media sites are saying. Emeke Emulu is over at our desk. Emeke.
Thanks. So let's start with someone in Tripoli who, because of patchy web access, relayed his experiences through a phone call. About 3 hours ago, he said things were calm, but like we saw in those pictures, he says a couple of hundred pro-Gaddafi supporters were out celebrating.
The latest now is that the supporters of Gaddafi, which is, there are not so many, but okay, they have several cars, and now they have some police presence. They're going around in the town celebrating the victory. I don't know what kind of victory they have, but they're just going around and making a lot of noise in the city.
Do you have an idea of how many people are out celebrating?
I would say a couple of hundreds.
Another witness says, also through a phone call, Gaddafi supporters given 17,000 dinars each to demonstrate for him. Let's step away from Libya momentarily because the political crises seen elsewhere in the region have by no means died down. Amnesty tweets, detainee in Bahrain tells us he was tortured for 30 hours. And at Al-MS, location unknown, tweets this about Yemen. Protester who was on his way back from buying medicine kidnapped from Sana'a University by a white senator. Back to Libya, where video clips appearing online are helping to piece events together. More crucially, they give us a glimpse into the chaos of daily life right now. A word of warning, some viewers may find this video, reportedly from the city of Benghazi, disturbing. It's dated on the 17th, but posted on the 22nd of this month, a few hours ago. It claims to show mercenaries loyal to Gaddafi beating protesters in the street and storming houses. If you look closely, you can see groups of men wearing yellow hard hats, holding batons. Now, those hats are how some locals say they've been able to identify these so-called foreign mercenaries. Also in Benghazi, a suspected mercenary who looks like he's been captured. He says he's 24 and arrived on Wednesday, that he came to Libya to work, but doesn't say what kind of work. It goes on like this for about 5 minutes where he was being questioned. It's not clear what happens next. We can't verify the authenticity of that clip. More to come in the next few hours, including how the web is helping to stir up a new kind of movement. It's galvanizing people from all walks of life to help protesters in the countries that we've mentioned. We heard Suhail Abdurrahman, the Libyan-American youth activist, talking about that a little earlier on in the program, but we'll delve a bit more into that later on. But for now, it's back to So.
Thanks, Emma Kay. Moving on now to Tunisians who are living in Libya. Well, they've been returning to their country. The two North African nations share a 500-kilometre border. About 50,000 Tunisians work in Libya, and many of them are now making a swift exit. Nazanin Mashiri is at Ras Ajir on the Tunisian side of the border with Libya.
There's a steady trickle of Tunisians coming across the border, as you can see behind me. This is about as close as we can get. We're just about 100 metres away from the Libyan side. We're 160 kilometres away from the Libyan capital, Tripoli. Now, what people are telling us is that on the other side of the border, there is a heavy security presence of police and army stopping and checking people, going through their luggage, taking away their phones, taking away their money.
Give me the money, or you can return back to Tripoli. You
Do
give
you
me
think
the money, or you return back to Tunisia, to Tripoli.
Is it dangerous now for Tunisians in Libya?
It is very dangerous for Tunisians now.
Why?
Because Saif Muammar Gaddafi said to the people that the Tunisian and the Egyptian did the problems in Libya.
After all, Libya is burning now.
Libya is burning. Yeah. Where is it burning? Where is it? Tell us what's happening.
All Libya, all Libya.
Just tell us
Misrata, Benghazi, Tripoli, all.
There is an increased military presence here. We have been told by the Tunisians they are sending in extra units. There is still a state of emergency here in Tunisia. The army very much in control of security. They are taking this situation seriously, but we haven't seen that many Libyans coming across the border. We understand that it might have something to do with the fact that the Libyans themselves on the other side are not allowing Libyans to come across. So far, the focus here on the border is very much on getting as many Tunisians out as possible. We understand 2 planes will be heading into Libya at some point to take the thousands of Tunisians stuck there right now.
Now, the country's tribal structure plays a crucial role in the country's politics.